Well, we made it back from the kayaking trip. It was kind of tough there in a few spots because the wind picked up and we were really bucking some waves. But we're here, kayaks up high and drive, turned over for the night, and I've got my bridge hammock all pitched. So I guess now the best thing for me to do is go down and cook some supper. Okay, I've got my M2 set up and I'm using a remote. I found an old rock over there on this fire ring over there, and I brought it over here, borrowed it, brought it over here, and it's just about big enough and flat enough to use my SS remote and my M2. And I've got a couple cups of water in my, I'm using a 12 centimeter pot, and I'm going to boil that up, and then I'm going to rehydrate Mackenzie chowder. Now I didn't have anything to measure with, and the Mackenzie chowder takes 12 ounces, but the Coleman bags have increments right on the side of them, so I don't need to measure. That's a nice touch, especially when you forget a measuring cup or don't want to carry one. So let's get this water boiled. The remote was a no-brainer. This rock was so flat that there's nothing to it. And I'm using the large fuel line. Now I prefer that because I get a lot quicker response to it. If it's going to overflow, it overflows almost immediately, where the micro line takes a little bit longer. But I've got a large line on there. I came with a 40-ounce stainless steel clean canteen because I just don't like the taste of pond water, even if it is filtered. So, in a little while, we should have boiling water here. Now, you can see on the side of this bag right there that it has increments on it, right on the left-hand side there. And for this trip, I brought along my Atmos 50. It seemed to be just about right. I'm carrying extra gear to bake and carrying a lot of camera equipment. Now I'm shooting this video with a Nikon 540, and when we were out on the pond I was using a Nikon S6300, which we call a sponge because it's been wet so many times. Okay, my water's boiling, so now I'm going to try to read this and make sure. 16 ounces of water right to there. Well, we'll give her a try, see how we do. There! Now we'll stir that up and let it sit for a while. Cool beans. One of the things I forgot was some DEET, and the mosquitoes are pretty tough here, so I put these Montbell 2-ounce long pants on to keep the bugs off of me, and probably going to climb into the hammock and zip up the bug screen while I wait for this to rehydrate. Now Robert, not to be outdone, has brought a folding chair called an A-Light Monarch, and I'm going to sit here and eat my chowder while I sit in this A-Light Monarch. I can hear the loons out on the pond, and I think if I take my camera and spin it around I might actually be able to get some footage of them. What are you using for a stove, Robert? M2. Okay, Robert's over with an M2, and he's boiling water for, I can just barely see it. Let's zoom in. We've got the technology. Let's take advantage of it. San Juan Stroganoff with a green spork. Do you have a green spork?
Do I have a green spork?
Yeah, because it says on these directions it can only be eaten with a green spork.
Well,
look, shows it with a green spork.
All
I mean,
right,
you know.
right. Hang on. Keep the camera running. Keep the camera.
While he's looking for a green spork, this is his setup for the night. All right, green spork. That's what it shows they're eating it with. And they're eating it with the fork end of it, so beware.
Well, I'm not going to use this.
Now, that's a Cuban fiber tarp you got there, big guy?
Yep, that's the hammock gear Cuban fiber, the with the doors.
And what do you got for, you got a Blackbird?
Blackbird, 1 ounce per square yard double layer, sporting a hammock gear 3-season Phoenix, and I have a 50-degree summer top quilt made with Momentum fabric. Quilt weighs about 11 ounces.
Life is good.
Very good.
Cool beans. I've got my Cuban fiber tarp, and I kind of like to sleep tonight without a tarp. So I may try that, and I may have to get up in the middle of the night and do an emergency tarp pitch, but I'd really like to do the whole night without a tarp. I've never done that. Okay, I thought that was a loon out there, but sweet machine. Sweet lake. Okay guys, I'm going to attempt to cook in the wild Betty Crocker blueberry muffins. Put a little oil in, just a squirt. Sprinkle a little bit of that in there. There. And I've got see if I can see it in the camera, I got a pretty good coating in there, a few berries in the bottom. Muffin mix. And when I get all done here, I think I'm going to go down in my coated pan. Well, there we go. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Not too exciting, but there you have it. I made it a little bit more moist this time. It stirred it up good. So now I'm going to fire up the stove and start cooking. Now, one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to take my M2 and I'm going to take the donut wick right off. So I'm basically turning it into a bottom feed M1. And I'm going to put my 10 centimeter pot up here, and I have my ring, and I'm going to put my cake in here. You can see I got a nice space all the way around it, and I'm going to put on the lid. Then I'm going to fire up my M2 and wait for 20 minutes. Cool beans. With and there we go. It's kind of funny, I was over there talking to Robert, sitting in his folding chair, and I got a waft of blueberries, which reminded me, hey dummy, you're baking here, pay attention. So I come back over, and boy, it really does smell like blueberries. Not quite done yet, but I don't think it's all that far away. It's risen up. It's just got to brown a little bit more, maybe crack a little bit, and it'll be done. How long it... Okay guys, I think they're finally done, but one thing I did learn, I put too much water in the mix this time, I think. I'm going to let them cool down before I attempt to take them out. But yeah, looks good. But I do think I put a little bit too much water in the mix. It took a long time for them to cook through the middle. They were a little sloppy. But they put the needle in, pulled it out, and it was clean this time, and they smell good. So we'll let them cool down and see what we got. Okay, here goes a moment of truth. I think I used a little bit too much water in the batter, but enough for excuses. It's time to see how they came out. That's still pretty hot, so I'll use my carbon felt windscreen. Hey! I didn't do too bad on that one. I overcooked them a little bit because I had too much water in the batter, but all the way around, for a learning experience, I'd say that was a pretty darn good muffin. And they appear to be quite moist this time, where before they were a little bit dry. Yeah, that's quite a bit more moist than it was before. So the secret is in how much water you use. Yep, they're good. So, wilderness blueberry muffins with too much water. But I think they'll eat. Good stuff. I'm Tinny from minibulldesign. Get out and hike. Take a friend. Enjoy the great outdoors. And more important than anything, try to have a really great day. And try to have some fun today. Bye-bye.